Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we're done for the most part with the red MR2. I showed the last video where we kind of put the body kit back on and everything was nice and intact. I drove the car, got it, it's legal for the road now, so I got it on the road, drove it out. Drove pretty good, but I developed an exhaust leak, so I had that aftermarket header and B-pipe which came with the car, and right by the flex pipe it actually broke. So we started driving, it was sounding great, then it sounded even really great, but it got too loud, and then when I checked it, the pipe is actually broken. Probably just insert a quick clip right here just to show you. So I have ordered an exhaust for the car. Good news is they're not too expensive, so that's going to be coming up for the red car. But today we're working on the Gen4 MR2, as I mentioned. Gen4 MR2 swap, as I mentioned on the last video. So this engine is going to go into my uncle's car. That's going to be the pearl white 94 MR2. So today I have his transmission. Again, everything was dirty, so everything is now clean. I went ahead and I painted the starter, painted all the engine mounts, as you will see over here. So these are all cleaned up. I am waiting on a throwout bearing, and we're going to use by the existing clutch, but I ordered those parts. They should be here tomorrow. This is the weekend, so by next week the parts should be in. So by next week I should be getting this transmission and the clutch installed on the engine, but I wanted to prep everything. So today what we're going to do is install the AC compressor over here, put the alternator on, simple stuff, and we're going to try to take some of the brackets that are on the back of the intake manifold from the Gen 2 engine and see if they'll work on the Gen 4 here. So I have those brackets, I'll show you guys in a second. But that's what we're going to do today. Not a very involved video, but I actually enjoy working on the 3S GTE engines. They're very simple, so I'll take you guys along for the ride. So let's go. Let me start off with this transmission. So this is the E153. I use my wire wheel. I really don't like painting the transmissions because, especially when you do the coolant flush on these cars and burp the system, there's always coolant overflow and it gets onto the paint, and for me it just kind of messes it up. And they're hidden anyway, so you're not going to see much. So I just went ahead and used a wire brush and cleaned it up, painted all these engine mounts. So just because I am an organization freak, I'm going to just put these engine mounts on the engine temporarily, so I can have this out of the way, and then next week we'll come back in, we'll get the clutch installed on the engine. I'll have this bolted up, and a lot of these engine mounts I'm going to take them off because this E153 transmission is actually a lot heavier than the S54. So I remember, if you've been following along, you know when we did this car over here, I mean it took me a while to muscle that S54 engine onto the engine. So I am not really looking forward to doing this. I'm going to try to do it by myself, but more than likely I'll probably get one of my buddies, Craig or John, to come over and we'll just kind of get this thing together. So here's the transmission, the starters, everything is temporarily bolted on. So we're going to slide this out the way. We're going to move over to the engine here. So we have the Gen 4. Again, this was done, if you wanted to see the timing and everything that goes into this build, I think I did this about 1.5 years ago, so you could go back and watch my videos and that will give you some insight as to how it went from basically a very rough looking motor to a very clean motor. But right now we're going to get the AC compressor on. So if we come over here, we have these 3 bolts, and we have the AC idler bracket. So I'm going to remove this bracket, and then we're going to basically mock the AC compressor up here and just bolt it on. Now this video, I mean, you probably won't be doing this. I mean, this is very self-explanatory, but if your engine is in your car and trying to get a visual, let's say you want to drop your AC compressor, this is a very good way of seeing what it is. So for the purpose of entertainment, let's get this on. I figured I'd kind of point this out. So this bracket, if it's from your 5S, you have to modify it. I'm going to take it off and show you. And if you are doing your timing belt with your engine in your car, you'll pull this bolt in the front. There's one over here, but we cut it off because I modified this. And then this is this hidden bolt right here in the back. This one is, if you don't know it's there, like, it will take it for a number. So this one right on the bottom, again, if your engine's in the car, it's really hidden, so don't forget about this one. So let's pull these 2 for now, and I'll show you how we have to modify the bracket here. All right, so right here, normally this thing comes around and you have a bolt that goes in here. So if you're doing your 5S motor, this is a bracket that comes on it, so you have to literally cut it right here so you can get it to fit on the Gen 4 3S GTE. Or you could just get a 3S GTE bracket and just put it up right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this AC compressor on. All right, so I like to hand thread everything. I'm really not a fan of power tools because, you know, especially in these old engines, the threads are always kind of like gummed up with whatever, rust, etc. So I like to hand thread everything in. So I just kind of hand threaded the 2 lower bolts on the AC compressor right here. Now we're gonna put the bracket on that we just took off. I'm gonna slip it in and this longer bolt goes on top. And again, just kind of get it in and just maneuver and just thread it in like that. As you guys know, I like to use my torque wrench, so 18 foot-pounds on these 3 bolts here. This one is 24 foot-pounds, but honestly I hand tighten it because if you ever have to do the belt replacement, it's such an awkward position and I just like to hand tighten it. I mean, don't go crazy on this one. And that's it. Now I wanted to put the belt on here, but I actually forgot the crank pulley, so it's at Craig's shop. So we have to go pick up the crank pulley. So hopefully next week we'll have that in place. Well, so we get the crank pulley, we can put the belts on here. We can also get the alternator belt on because we can't really put belts on, although we're putting on these accessories. So let's torque it up and we're gonna move to the back. Always check your torque specs, guys. That's what the book is for. So I have it, so I use it. Moving on to the back of the engine, and you know, if you guys recall, like this wire harness was done for a 91 MR2. It is obviously going into a 94 MR2, so there's slight modifications we're gonna have to do to the wire harness. I did reach out to Wire Gap who did the harness. They said they'll walk me through the process. So at some point I'll do a video as to, you know, what the conversion is. Hey, you know, most of us probably don't need it, but if ever you run into a situation like this, like you work on MR2s all the time, it is good to have it documented. This bracket came off the 94 Gen 2 3S GTE. I didn't have this on my car because again, we took a 5S, but I like brackets and it looks kind of cool and we're able to paint it silver, so it goes right here. I have no clue what it does. It literally just bolts onto the block and just sits there, but we're gonna put it back, and I think the contrast with the silver looks great with the black. And you guys can probably figure out by now, a lot of this stuff I do it because I enjoy what it looks like, and you know, that's part of the fun, driving it, enjoying the car, and just visually enjoying what these things look like. You know, I'm an engineer by education, so I guess I can appreciate some of this stuff. So let me throw it on and then we're gonna get to the alternator bracket. All right guys, so pay attention to this bracket. Now, here's a tip. If you are changing your alternator in your MR2, so engine installed and you're trying to change it, it's a pain to get the alternator out. So here's a trick. You don't have to remove your exhaust, you don't have to remove your axle, none of that stuff. Just take it from the top. So remove the cruise control box in the corner, remove it from the top. You're gonna remove the alternator and then just remove this bracket. And if you take this bracket and just have it sit on the right on the bottom, you can actually slide the alternator up. The problem is, with this installed on the engine like this, and you try to remove the alternator up, it gets, it conflicts with this thing right here. So simply take our bracket off, just rest it down in the engine bay like this, and then you can actually slide your alternator up. Very easy work of it. So, quick tip. Hopefully we don't have to change one here, but if you have to, now you know what to do. All right, this, you just line it up again. I like to thread one in by hand and then just kind of get the others in. Just get one bolt in, thread it in by hand, and then your life is going to be easy. Now this is a Gen 4 engine. On the Gen 5, just for reference, the alternator bracket will kind of make contact with the intake manifold here, so you have to grind this area. On the Gen 4, it's not an issue. At least I haven't seen any conflicts on this one, and yeah, it's not an issue. There's tons of clearance over here. But just keep in mind, if you're doing a Gen 5, you're probably going to want to have to do that. 32 foot-pounds. Done. All right, we're reusing our alternator. So alternator slips right in here with this huge bolt, through bolt, and then we have a smaller bolt that goes on top. I'm just gonna slip it in here. I painted it so it's a little bit tight, but you just work it in. Or you could use a little hammer, but I'm gonna take my time here. All right, now this bolt, I'm not gonna tighten it up properly because what we wanna do is we wanna get the belt on, but I need a crank pulley. So we'll get the belt on here. I think this might be the wrong other belt. I have the other belt on the other side. Yeah, this one goes here. This belt is the alternator belt. So again, we need to get the crank pulley in place before so we can tension the belt properly and then tighten these two up afterwards. This adjusts your tension, so it brings the alternator back and forth. This is a lock bolt. And then this is another locking bolt. But yeah, there's our alternator. So what's next? All right, guys, so this is the axle, part of the axle for the E153. So I'm just doing a mock right now. Again, just trying to get this out of the way and just see how my brackets line up. So as you can see, the brackets actually line perfectly well with the Gen 4. So Gen 2 to Gen 4. This bracket goes here, this one goes on the alternator. So it really just helps to position this thing in place. So again, I'm just doing it to mock, just to make sure. I am gonna have to rebuild the axles because the boots are torn. So I'm ordering some boots. So you'll see a video on that where we rebuild both sides of the axle. So I'm sure that will be helpful if you guys want to do that in the house. It's a messy job, but I mean, the last time I took it to a shop, and honestly it took me more time to bring it to a shop than just do it myself. So this time I'm doing it myself. All right, so there you go. So that's all mocked up, and I think that's about it for today. Next week, as I mentioned, we should be getting the throw bearing. So I'm going to change the rear main seal, put the flywheel on, clutch on, transmission on, and rebuild the axles probably in the next video after that. And then with that said, we should have everything ready to go so we can get Uncle Kevin's car and just throw the engine in, and fingers crossed this thing starts up and he's happy and I'm happy for finishing another project. But that's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, small video, as we do, little videos. I know you guys enjoy the smaller videos. And again, 1,400 subscribers. It's been, what, 3 years now? It's certainly taken a while for us to get to 1,400 subscribers, but I appreciate everybody that still watches and continues to support the channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.